Alrighty everyone, thanks for joining me. This is your host ID Jester back into our Dominion tutorial here. We're going to look at expansion number 2 for Dominion. This is of course called Seaside. It was the second expansion for Dominion and it was released October of 2009, so just a couple months after Intrigue. This expansion will add about 300 cards and 26 new kingdom piles. And so we talked about Intrigue and how that its core mechanic was multiple possible effects, hybrid cards, which are both victory cards and another type. So what does Seaside bring to things? Well, Seaside, interesting enough, brings in duration cards. And what happens with this is it'll help affect not only your current turn, but future turns. And it also adds mats, where cards can be set aside and re-added to the deck at the end. So we are going to be looking at that here. So let's go ahead and open it up. You can see the back here. So 26 kingdom cards added in. So I wanted to show everyone this again because we kind of talked about this before. But I think it's important when you're looking at Dominion and figuring out, okay, well, you know, this one looks interesting, but why should I get this game? What's so interesting about this? Well, I'll tell you, my friends. Let's share with you guys the information again on combinations of cards without repetition. So everyone knows if we have, say, 10 elements, so we have 10 different cards and we need 10 to play with, and we calculate the differences there, it's going to give us one combination. So when you go to, say, 11 cards, so you have 11 total cards and you need 10 of those cards, how many different combinations are we going to have? Does anyone know? All right, well, the answer is 11. It's not 1. Even though we went up 1 card, we actually went up 11 different combinations. So let's say we go up to, say, 20 different cards. So if there's 20 cards, and we needed 10 of them, which is half the cards, how many different combinations are we going to have? Well, let's find out. There is over 184,000. So even though you're only using half the cards, you get 184,756 different combinations. And we looked at, if we take just the base set, which has 26 cards in it, if we just look at base Dominion, and we need 10 of those for kingdom cards, that's going to give us 5,311,735 different combinations that you will be able to use with just the core Dominion game. And if you were to, say, add in Seaside to that, which is going to add in another 26 cards, plus you get the 26 from your base game, this is going to take us up to 52 different elements, 52 different kingdom cards. So with that, we need 10 of those. How many do you think we get? Well, it is going to be, wow, let's see, that would be a million, that would be 15 billion 820,024,220 different combinations with just Dominion and one of the base sets, either Intrigue or Seaside. So you can see a lot of people don't realize it gets exponentially bigger the more cards, the more combinations that you choose. So if you were to have not only Dominion and Seaside, but maybe you had Intrigue as well, so you had, say, Dominion plus 2 expansions, That's going to add us in another 26, which would take us up to 78 combinations. And again, we're just using 10 of those. How many are we going to get? Okay, let's see. That's going to do, that is millions, that is billions, that is 1,258,315. Let's start that again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So 1,258,315,963,905. So just Dominion with just two of the expansions, Intrigue and Seaside, or any of the other ones that give you, say, a total of 78 different combinations. And I believe when all is all said and done, there is a total of, if you get all the expansions, plus of course the base game, I believe there's 366 different kingdom cards, and I don't even know if it'll calculate it because you can see the number is going to be extremely large. Yeah. So it's 1.049984505969 times 10 to the 19th power, which means you got to add in 19 zeros on that. It's a lot of different combinations. So you can see that's kind of the cool thing about Dominion is the more you add to the game, the more variety you get, the more differences you get. So anyways, I wanted to explain that and show it off again because a lot of people, they don't understand. They think if you got like 5 cards and you go to 6 cards, it's only going to add like a couple variations, but it's exponentially bigger. All right, so we got this. We don't need. We have the rules, which we're going to look at here in a minute. Ooh, there's something in here. Oh, there's our little box cover there. Oh, look at that. We have ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. So we got some cards here. We're just going to take these out of the envelope here. There we go. And on the back, what do we have here? We got some more. So you can see this game actually adds in some new player boards for everyone to use. Beautiful. So depending on how many players you're going to play with, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, you're going to have different player boards. There is, let's just slide that out of the way for a second. So it looks like there's going to be 6 ships, there's going to be 6 villages, and then 6 oceans. And each one of these, I believe, is going to do something different, but we'll look at that. It also comes with some gold coin tokens and some little silver doubloons. So gold and silver doubloons, and of course, all of our various cards that come with the set. And of course our storage tray, which we're just going to put that in there. And I'm actually going to be putting this in real quick as we talk about it. And what I'm doing is I'm actually combining several sets into some of the boxes. So what I'm going to do here is just make sure we don't have any of the, nope, doesn't look like it. All right. So what I normally am going to do is just put these in, and we're going to have Caravan and Cat Purse. have some bigger box. I don't know. Embargo. So everything doesn't line up. But what I'm trying to do is save space so I can actually use another expansion and put the other expansion in over here. These are going to actually take up quite a bit of space, aren't they? Well, that's all right. We're going to just make do with what we got here. I can always put these in my miscellaneous box. Of course, it's got a nice... All right, we're going to look at each of these cards individually, but we will get into Dominion Online for that, so you guys can see them a little bit easier, a little bit better. Let me just make sure I have the... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, they're going to put the randomizer cards, which you obviously want to separate out from your other cards. All right, just like this. We're going to look at each of the cards. We're going to go through them step by step again. We're actually, before we do that, we're going to actually look at the rules and see how these player boards, come into play. So these are going to be your 26, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Beautiful. 26. Now I know that I can put the rest of these in here without having to worry. You can see some of them have actually got a gold border, or orange, gold, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but we'll look at that here. Lookout and merchant ship probably can go together over here. I don't think we can squeeze another one in there, can we? Yep, we can. All right. A lot of wasted space, to be honest. A lot of wasted space, but I guess, you know, if you're just going to keep the one set in here, you know, that's fine. They probably could have saved a little bit of room by just making the boxes smaller. Okay, all right. What is going on? Why do you keep beeping me over there? So you just got to remember just to keep them in order, so that way when you're looking through, you know where to look. Hope that's treasury. Treasure map. Ooh, it's got definitely a pirate sea theme. Treasury, treasure maps. It's got the, what do we have here? A warehouse, a wharf. Again, we'll look at the cards here in just a second. Lots of blank cards, which is nice. In case you lose a card, you can just fill it in. I'm going to put those maybe in with our randomizers. Yep, they'll fit. All right. Cool. So I got a little bit of room for another part of another expansion. I can start combining them so I don't have so many boxes. All right. Let's look at the core rule book here as we now have that sorted out to find out what is added in the game. So, 226 cards. There is the 26 cards. We got 12 island cards, which we just looked at. We have islands, which are these cards. We have the pirate ships, which are these cards. And we have the native villages. Right. Players will need the treasure cards, the victory cards, curses, and trash maps from Dominion. Right. Players, Seaside has player maps for 3 cards. Islands, native villagers, and Byron maps. You do not need these at the start of the game. Take a player mat when you first need one of the appropriate choice. So you don't need these to start the game, but once you buy some of the cards, you will need these. So you can just have these out and available. So Seaside introduces duration cards. Duration cards are orange and have abilities that affect future turns. Players do not discard duration cards in the cleanup phase. If they have something left to do, they stay in play until the cleanup of the last turn they do something. Additionally, if a card such as Throne Room plays a duration card multiple times, that card also stays in play until the player discards the duration card. This enables the player to track the fact that the duration card was played multiple times. Players keep track of whether or not a duration card was played on the current turn, such as by keeping cards from a previous turn in a separate pile on the table, or by tipping or tilting the duration cards when they do something at the start of their turn. I give you some examples. There's a sample turn, and then of course it goes over all of the specific rules that have to do with the cards in the deck, and then of course it gives you a recommended set of 10. So if you're playing with Seaside only, or Seaside and Dominion, or Seaside and Intrigue, or any of the other expansions, you have lots of different choices to choose from. All right, so let's go back over to the Seaside expansion here and look at the cards. I think it's a little bit easier for you guys to see the cards up here as opposed to having me have them out on my little table and the glare from everything. So these are 26 cards that come in Seaside. So let's take a look at them one at a time. Ambassador. It's a free cost action attack. Reveal a card from your hand. Return up to 2 copies of it from your hand to the supply. Then each other player gains a copy of it. So, of course, since it's an attack, they can thwart the attack by having a defensive card, which are usually, again, blue, but you will notice there's no blue in this set at all. You would have to use the Intrigue or the base Dominion to get those. So you're going to reveal a card from your hand, return up to 2 copies of it from your hand to the supply. So obviously returning estates or copper, and then every other player would get a copy of that, and that would go into their discard pile. You can return up to 2 copies, so you can choose 0 copies of it, 1 copy, or 2 copies of that card. If you do not return any cards, then obviously nobody gets a card. And yeah, so that's the Ambassador. Again, nice pirate theme. I love it. Let's look at the Bazaar. Bazaar is 5 cost action. It is +1 card, gives you +2 actions and +1 money. When you draw a card, you get +2 actions and +1 money. Pretty simple. Not too much to write home about on that one. Caravan. So this is orange, obviously, duration card. This will be our first look at a duration card. Caravan, +1 card, +1 action. At the start of your next turn, +1 card. This is action duration. You draw a card and get +1 action when you play this, and when you draw another card, and then you draw another card at the start of your next turn. Pretty simple. All right, and so this card would stay out. And let's look at Cat Purse. Cat Purse, it's a 4 cost action attack, another attack card. Wow. Cat Purse, you get +2 money. Each other player discards a copper or reveals a hand with no copper. So each other player discards a copper or reveals the hand with no copper. So you get a little bit of money from out of your opponent's hands, which may be a good thing or not. Who knows, right? Depends on what they have in their hand and what they need. But obviously getting any kind of treasure cards out of your opponent's hand makes their hand a little bit weaker, whether it's a copper or not. All right, embargo. 2-cost action. It gives you +2 money. Trash this to add an embargo token to a supply pile. For the rest of the game, when a player buys a card from that pile, they gain a curse. Oh, wow, nice. Trash this and add it to the embargo token to a supply pile. For the rest of the game, when a player buys a card from that pile, they gain a curse. So I bet you those embargo tokens are those little silver ones. The text on them is too small for me to read, so I'm just guessing that's what that is. All right. All right. A token can go on the supply pile, a kingdom card pile such as embargo, or a base card pile such as silver. The token modifies the pile so that anyone buying a card from the pile gains a curse. Anyone, including yourself. This even affects the player who placed the embargo token. This is commutatively with 3 embargo tokens on a pile. So buying a card from that pile will cost you 3 curses. Embargo tokens do not do anything if a card is gained without being bought, such as using smugglers, or if the curse pile is empty. Embargo tokens are not counter limited. Use a replacement if necessary. If you throne room embargo, you get +4 money, but only place 1 token, since you only trash embargo once. All right, so pretty cool card. I like that. So if your opponent's, you have a strategy, you think your opponent has a strategy, and you can get this to make his strategy slow his strategy down by putting this embargo on the cards that you think he's going to get. All right. So that is the embargo. Let's go to the explore. It's a 5-cost action. You may reveal a province from your hand. If you do, gain a gold to your hand. If you don't, gain a silver. So you're going to gain a gold or a silver every turn, whether you have provinces or not. So gold or silver every turn. Now, silver's not the best. Obviously, early game, silvers are good to kind of get your engine started, get your economy started. But, towards the end of the game, not so great. But obviously, you should have some provinces towards the middle and late game. So this could be very good in adding those to your hand. All right, the fishing village, another duration. So this is going to give you +2 actions, +1 money. At the start of your next turn, +1 action and +1 money. And this is the fishing village. All right. So again, another duration card. You're going to keep this card out. I think that's where these little mats come out. So if it's the fishing village, you would put that on the village card. So you remember. That makes sense, right? Makes sense to me. Ooh, the ghost ship. Nice. Let's see what this one. It's another 5-cost attack action. Attack, actually. Gives you +2 cards. Each other player with 4 or more cards in hand puts cards from their hand onto their deck until they have 3 cards in hand. Each other player with 4 or more cards in hand puts cards from their hand onto their deck until they have 3 cards. They can choose any order to put them back in, and they must discard down until they have 3 cards in hands. Players who have three or fewer cards in their hands are immune to this attack. Obviously, makes sense. Haven, another duration card. Cool art there. Haven. It's a 2-cost action duration card. Gives you +1 card, +1 action. Set aside a card from your hand face down under this. So you're going to set a card from your hand face down under this so your opponent doesn't know what it is. At the start of your next turn, put it in your hand. So this would not count as a card in hand, as it's not in your hand. It's going to be hidden in the haven. That's cool. I like that as well. So first draw a card and get +1 action, then choose a card from your hand and set it face down under the haven. You may look at it, but other players may not. You have to set aside a card if you can. At the start of your next turn, return the set aside card to your hand. Island. Put this card and a card from your hand onto the island mat. Oh, there we go. So we have the island mat. Right? So put this card and a card from your hand onto the island mat. It's +2 victory points. And it won't clog up your deck because it's on the island mat. Interesting. Okay, so when you set aside your first island, take the island player mat to put it on. Island and the set aside card are face up on the mat. Anyone can look at them. They stay there until the end of the game when you return them to your deck and count your score. When playing Island, you have to set aside a card if you can. If you throne room an island, you set aside 2 cards. Use 8 copies of Islands for games with 2 players or 12 for games with 3 or more players. So yeah, you can store your victory points on the island mat, and that way they wouldn't clog up your deck. Kind of cool. I like that. So that is the island. Let's go to the lighthouse. That is, of course, another duration card because it's orange. 2-cost action duration +1 action. Now and at the start of your next turn, +1 money. While you have this in play, when another player plays an attack card, it doesn't affect you. Okay. So the lighthouse, you get an action, you get +1 money when you play this, and when you get +1 money at the start of your next turn. Also, when lighthouse is in play, other players' attacks don't affect you. Even if you want them to, you cannot choose to have those affect you. This does not prevent you from using reactions when other players play attacks. So you can have other reactions to play if you don't want it to affect you, but this card will prevent those cards from affecting you, even if you want those effects to happen. Cool. 2 cost, pretty cool, and it allows you to not be attacked, so that's cool. Lookout. +1 action. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Trash one of them. Discard one of them. And put the other one back on top of your deck. So you can get a little bit of everything on that one. You have to do those 3 things in order. First, trash a card. Then discard one. Then put the last one on top of your deck. So if there's only 1 card, even after shuffling, you trash it. And if there are only 2 cards, you would trash one and then discard the other one. So you have to do those in that order. Interesting. Good to know. I'm glad there's some clarification on that because some people could kind of game the system there, which could be interesting. So look out. We have the merchant ship. So 5 cost action duration. Again, the merchant ship now and at the start of your next turn +2 money. So in essence, it gives you +4 money in the long run. +4 money in the long run. Merchant ship. Native village. Native village. Native village. It is a +2 action. Choose one. Put the top card of your deck face down on your native village mat. You may look at these cards at any time. Or put all the cards from your mat into your hand. Oh, nice. It's a 2-cost action. So you can build up, get some cards together that you really want to get together. And then, eventually, you can choose to just put all those cards from your native village into your hand. Cool. I like that. Alright, so when you play this, you either take all the cards from your mat or you set aside the top card of your deck onto your mat. When you first set aside a card with Native Village, take the Native Village mat to put the cards on. You can look at the cards on your mat whenever you like, but other players cannot. You may choose either option, even if there are no cards in your deck or no cards on your mat. You cannot look at the top card before deciding whether or not to set aside or take cards from the mat. At the end of the game, all cards from the mat are returned to your deck for scoring. Cool. Alright, so that is the Native Village. We have the Navigator. So +2, it's a 4-cost action, +2 money. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Either discard them all or put them back in any order. Interesting. Okay. Yep, pretty simple. All right. Outpost. Another action duration, 5 cost. If this is the first time you played an Outpost this turn and the previous turn wasn't yours, then take an extra turn after this one, and you may only draw 3 cards for your next hand. So Outpost only does everything the first time you play it in a turn, and only if the previous turn was another player's, meaning you are not already taking an extra turn. If those conditions are met, you take an extra turn and only draw 3 cards for your next hand rather than 5. Thus, usually only having 3 cards in hand on the extra turn. Except for the smaller starting hand, the extra turn is a normal turn. If you play Merchant Ship on the same turn as Outpost, the extra turn will be when you get the +2 from the Merchant Ship. Extra turns do not count towards the tiebreaker of which player played fewer turns. Good clarification. Beautiful. Probably a lot of questions about this one, but yes. So you're basically going to get an extra turn if you already hadn't. So you can't just spam these in your deck and just take turn after turn after turn after turn. You can take one extra turn, it looks like. And of course, it does limit you to, say, drawing 3 cards for your next hand. So, kind of weakens your next hand, but still, great card. All right, Pearl Diver. 2-cost action, +1 card, +1 action. Look at the bottom card of your deck, and you may put it on top. Okay, interesting. All right, I guess that's pretty much it for that one. Not too much to talk about. Pirate Ship. Well, since this matches the mat, I'm pretty sure we're going to be using that for our pirate ship. Choose one. +1 money per coin token on your pirate ship map, or each other player reveals the top 2 cards of their deck, trashes one of those treasures that you choose, and discards the rest. And then, if anyone trashed a treasure, you add a coin token to your pirate ship mat. Alright, so players reveal a card like Moat. Do so before you choose your option. If you choose the first option, you get +1 per coin token on your pirate ship mat. The coin tokens stay there. If you choose the second option, each other player reveals the top 2 cards of their deck, trashes a revealed treasure of your choice, if possible, and discards the rest of their revealed cards. Then, if any player did trash a treasure, you add a coin token to your pirate ship map for the supply of tokens. You get to, at most, 1 coin token per play of pirate ship. Take a pirate ship map when you first need one. So there's the pirate ship. When you use the pirate ship, the native village. When you use the native village, and was it the fishing village? No, what was the other one? What was the other one? Haven? Island. It was Island. Of course it was Island. No? Yes. Put this card. Yes. Island, the native village, and the pirate ship. Right. Those are the three. Salvanger. So, 4-cost action. You get +1 buy and trash a card from your hand, and you get +1 money per 1 money it costs. So if you trash a 4, you get +4. If you trash a 6, you get +6. And you get an extra buy, so you could start upgrading cards really easily. Salvanger. If you trash a card with a potion or a red gem in the cost from other expansions, you get nothing from those symbols. So just keep that in mind if you play with some of the other expansions that use some other money other than regular money, you get nothing by trashing it. So like you don't get 4 potions to trash a 4 potion card. You only get money for this. That is the Salvanger. Cool. The She-Hag. 4-cost action attack. Each other player discards the top card of their deck, then gains a curse onto their deck. Alright, pretty self-explanatory. You take a card off, discards that, and then takes a curse and puts it on their deck. Obviously, if there's no curses, they don't need to do that. Pretty easy. Smugglers. Gain a copy of a card costing up to 6 that a player on your right gained on their last turn. The card has to cost 6 or less when you play Smugglers. It does not have to cost 6 or less when the player to your right gained it. This looks at the most recent turn of the player to your right, even if you have taken multiple turns in a row. The gained card does not have to have been brought by the other player, just gained. For example, you can gain a copy of a card that they gained with their own smugglers. If they gained multiple cards costing 6 or less, you choose between them. If they gained no such card, you do not gain anything. This can only gain cards that are present in the supply. For example, you cannot gain spoils. You cannot, and this is not an attack, so lighthouse and moat do not stop it. Another great clarification, so very happy. Great clarifications. Let's go to the technician. It is, of course, a 5-cost action duration with the orange. If you have at least 1 card in hand, discard your hand. And at the start of your next turn, plus 5 cards, plus 1 action, and plus 1 buy. If you have no cards in hand, then Technician does nothing more and is discarded in the same turn's cleanup. If you do have at least 1 card, you discard your hand. Technician stays in play, and at the start of your next turn, you gain plus 5 cards, plus 1 buy, plus 1 action, and then Technician is discarded that turn. If you use Throne Room and Technician, you will discard your hand on the first play and will have no cards in hand from the second play. So you will get the bonus, so you will not get the bonuses from it. Interesting. So if you Throne Room it twice, you would have to discard your cards to draw 5. Yeah, so Throne Rooming a Technician, not a good move. I see. Yeah. Because if you're going to Throne Room it, So you're going to discard your hand the second time, and you're just going to draw back up to 5 cards, so it's not worth anything. All right, so let's look at the treasure map. 4 cost action. Trash this and a treasure map from your hand. If you trash 2 treasure maps, gain 4 golds onto your deck. So that's going to be on the top of your deck. You're going to get 4 golds. That's going to be 3, 6, 9, 12 money. 4 golds right on top of your deck. If you did trash another copy of treasure map, then you gain plus 4 golds, putting them on your deck instead of your discard pile. If you do not have another copy of treasure map in hand, then you just trash the 1 treasure map and nothing else happens. If you throne room a treasure map, you only trash the first treasure map once, and so will gain no gold. So you have to, wow. Yeah, so you can purchase this, and then if it doesn't come out with another one, you basically lose it for nothing. So that can be a very dangerous card. You're paying 4 on the hopes that it comes out with another treasure map. So the only way you'd really want to buy a treasure map is if you could buy several of them before you have to shuffle. If you could buy several of them before you shuffle and then hope that a couple of them come out together. Or if there's a way for you to discard the treasure map so you don't have to trash it or whatever. I guess you can choose not to play as an action, though. Yes, you could always do that, right? So you could just choose not to play that as an action. So I guess eventually your treasure maps would come out together. I get it. Okay, makes sense. I get it. All right, let's go to treasury. It's 5 cost action, plus 1 card, plus 1 action, plus 1 money. When you discard this from play, if you didn't buy a victory card this turn, you may put this onto your deck. When you discard this from play... Alright, so if you didn't buy a victory card during your turn, you may put any and all of your played treasuries on top of your deck during cleanup. If you did buy at least 1 victory card, all the treasuries are discarded normally. Gaining a victory card without buying it, such as with smugglers, does not prevent you from putting treasuries back on top. So if you bought a victory card, then yes. If you gain a victory card, then no, it doesn't, and you can put all these on top. So the distinction of buying, if you didn't buy a victory card, if you buy a victory card, as opposed to you got one from some other source, that's cool. I like that. We got the old warehouse. 3 cost action gives you 3 cards in an action, and then you discard 3 cards. So you're going to draw first, gain another action, and then discard 3 cards. So that's interesting. If there are fewer than 3 cards for you to draw after shuffling, you still discard 3 cards. And then finally, our last and final card for this set is the Wharf. 5 cost action duration card, obviously, because it's orange, it's the Wharf. Now and at the start of your next turn, plus 2 cards and plus 1 buy. So this one will stick around till the end of your next turn, giving you plus 2 cards and plus 1 buy on your following turn. Yep, pretty simple. Not too much there. So, so you're going to use the special token, or not token, these special play mats for pirate ships, the island, and the native village for when you're playing those cards. If you're not playing with any of those 3 cards, then obviously you won't need these player mats. But the duration, you can see how the duration thing, sticking things around. Super cool mechanic there. Giving you extra money. Giving you extra cards, extra actions, extra buys on your next turn. Plus card, plus one buy. And of course they have one of the victory point one, the island, which of course you can put on your island mat. So interesting, because then you can just gather up a whole bunch of extra victory points and put them on your island. And yeah, I see that going pretty quickly, because it won't even jam up your deck very much. It does cost 4, but it's something that if you do and your opponent doesn't, you can get a jump on them, possibly. It'd be interesting to see. I like the embargo one too. Whenever a player buys a card from a pile, you can kind of not prevent, but just make your opponent think twice about buying cards. And the Outpost, letting you take an extra turn. Seems pretty cool. Seems really cool. I'm going to look up that rule again, the Outpost. The Outpost only does everything the first time you play it in a turn, and only if the previous turn was another player's, meaning you are not already taking an extra turn. If these conditions are all met, you take an extra turn and only draw 3 cards for your next hand rather than 5. Thus, usually only having 3 cards in hand on the extra turn, except for possibly, right? Is there any cards that give you, yeah, the caravan gives you +1 card, +1 action. And at the start of your next turn, +1 card. So possibly, if this card was played and the technician was played, you might be able to go from 3 cards to 4 cards, I would assume. If you play a merchant ship in the same turn as Outpost, the extra turn will be when you get the +2 from the merchant ship. Now and at the start of your next turn, +2. Okay, so if you play the technician and the merchant ship, you get the +2 during the turn with the technician, and then the +2 after on the next turn. Extra turns do not count towards the tiebreaker of who had fewer turns. Right. Cool. Cool beans. Yeah, some really interesting cards, cool mechanics. We're going to definitely have to check this out, but hopefully you enjoyed our look at Dominion Seaside expansion number 2 for Dominion. Really cool cards, new mechanic, duration cards. I know there's at least one other set that, I think there's actually 2 other sets that you bring back in duration cards, but this is the first set that did it. And lots of attack cards, which are super cool. And of course the play mats. So now you've got extra things to play on your play mats. The pirate ship. So the pirate ship seems really cool because you either get to choose a +1 coin token per coin on your mat, or every other player reveals the top 2 cards of their deck, trashes one of those treasures that you choose, and discards the rest. And then, so if they had like a gold and silver, you could trash the gold, and then they would discard the silver, and then you would add a coin onto your mat, and you just keep building that up and building it up, and then every time you play a pirate ship, you can just use all the money that's on there. So you can see that can build up pretty quickly, pretty fast. That would be fun. Yeah, that would be cool. All right. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you appreciate it, and hope you like it. Leave your thoughts, comments, suggestions down below, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care, guys.